Welcome to the Dream Home Doorway podcast, your guide to achieving the goal of affordable home ownership. This is episode 2 of our special series. Our main goal is to provide valuable insights for both current and future homeowners on how to navigate today's real estate market and make affordable home ownership a reality. I'm Rachel Starrett, and I've been part of the Red Door family since 2017, focused on helping people understand the ins and outs of home ownership. Today, I'm talking to Page Robertson, the General Manager of Red Door Homes. Page will tell us how things have changed in making homes affordable over the years, and how Red Door Homes is coming up with new ideas to help people make owning a home more affordable. Welcome, Page. I'd love to start by having you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in the industry.
Good afternoon, Rachel. Very nice to chat with you today. I myself have been in the building industry for close to 30 years. Started back in my 20s. I guess that gives away my age. Was involved in the Wilmington, Brunswick County market. I'm, of course, born and raised in Wilmington, North Carolina, so spent a lot of time there. And that is where I started my building career. Our market was a little bit more affected, if you will, in the real estate collapse in 2008, 2009. Caused some life changes for me, and I happened to find a landing spot in Red Door.
Okay, so you've seen some things over the years, I'm guessing, in our industry.
For sure. I've been, a neighborhood builder. I've been a semi-custom home builder. So I've done things like, take down numerous lots and build collection of plans to, building what, I wouldn't call them high-end homes, but, something in that mid-range. And then, of course, got the opportunity here at Red Door.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of background on Red Door Homes itself and the history of the company, how long Red Door has been in business, the areas we serve?
It's pretty interesting, the Red Door story, frankly. If you go back years and years and years, I was in something called a Builder 20 Club that is done by the National Association of Home Builders. And that club kind of gets a collection of builders together that do things the same way or in a similar volume, and they share information. They submit financials in the same format, etc. And there was several gentlemen that were part of a consulting group that came and spoke to our Builder 20 Club quite frequently. Funny enough, they are the ones that created Red Door Homes. A number of those guys had come from a company called Wayne Homes in Ohio, which is still today a very large on-your-lot builder in that like Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia market. So they really were trying to come up with a way to do a similar business model in other places from what they had learned, if you will, working at that company. So they did put together Red Door Homes, and they decided to franchise it. And our owners were one of the first people, if you will, in North Carolina to get a Red Door franchise. And it just happened to work out really well timing wise for me to, I think it was probably 2009 that the wheels started turning, and 2010 when actually the Model Home Center there in Rayford, or outside of Fayetteville, was built, which was our first location.
Okay. And then there's been some growth since then. Can you kind of share a little bit about how the company has grown over the past couple of years and what that's looked like?
We've always really approached growth from kind of an organic standpoint. Rayford being our first location, we started getting more inquiries, if you will, from areas outside of what you would call our normal build area. We always try to focus on somewhere around 50 miles around our office that we're willing to service. But we kept getting enough interest from areas up in the Wake County, Johnston County, that type of area. And so as those kept coming in, we started thinking, kind of broadened our envelope a little bit, if you will, in that market, let some sales happen, got a little traction there, and ultimately decided to build an office, which we initially put in Garner, North Carolina.
Great. And so there's 4 locations now. So obviously the expansion will have continued into other areas where interest, was being expressed. So that's always great to see as well. But obviously, we're here today to talk about affordability, how that's changed over the past years, what Red Door Homes is doing as a company to kind of innovate and pivot to really help our homeowners. How has the home building market changed over the years from your perspective? And what challenges has Red Door Homes faced in maintaining affordable homes?
Well, the unbuilt market is always, I guess if you go back to pre-market crash in '08 and you go somewhere in between there and where we are today, there's been a lot of irregularities, if you will. So the unbuilt market tends to be fairly, streamlined. It just kind of works, and we built some more houses and people buy some more houses and things of that nature. And of course, when the bust happened, it was essentially every person you ran into, even if it was, somebody working, the line at McDonald's, they were buying 3 houses and trying to flip them. So it was, everybody was involved in the market, and then essentially the market stopped, and it was like a cakewalk. If you remember back in elementary school days, where everybody walked around a little circle, and then the music stopped, and you had to sit in your chair. Whoever wasn't in a chair was out of the cakewalk, right? So, it's kind of the same thing as what happened in '08. A lot of people didn't have a chair when the music stopped, and caused a significant impact in the market. And then as the market continued to grow after that, and then of course we had COVID, which was, our initial reaction to COVID was we were concerned, we were worried about our volume, we were thinking that things were going to get bad, and instead things got crazy good. So it's really kind of it's really hard to prepare for and figure and have it all done properly. But you have to be able to continually change. You have to be able to continually understand what your customers need and what you're trying to provide them. And I think we've always wanted to focus on affordability. And it's something that you'll see if you visit our sales centers, where we do have models. We have, an included feature model, which is essentially the price that you would see on the website. Then depending on which location you go to, you may see a sales center that has an upgraded model, or one that has more personalization, more personal choices in it, so that you can get a feel for what you could do in your own home. With us always being focused on affordability, what is really the most impactful change on that is the changes that occurred during the COVID time period. And it's something that I don't think anybody really perceives, that anything's going to change from here or go backwards. We have the Fed currently trying to tamp down the economy with interest rates. The economy is still growing, and but you go and drive by McDonald's and they want $20 an hour to run a cash register, right? So we're experiencing obviously the same things in the market. It really started with the demand on the housing industry and how much demand there was, so that drove prices up. Then you started seeing the after effects of COVID, where now you got to pay more for employees, all this type of thing, and all that has incrementally, even though maybe lumber went back down, it's been replaced by higher costs for your HVAC guy, or your electrical guy, or your plumber, or your framer, whoever else. It's really been difficult to absorb or understand how quickly the cost to build a house has changed. And so that makes it more difficult, if you will, to provide affordability. But at the same time, the consumer has begun to change their list of wants and need. A family that maybe previously wanted a 3,000 square foot house, now maybe they're understanding and comfortable they can properly operate their family in a 2,000 square foot house. And they're making those decisions for affordability reasons. I think some people frankly make those decisions based on their impact to the environment and their footprint and all that kind of stuff. So, I think everyone is strategically trying to understand how to live with less. And that's truthfully been brought about by the market itself and the way that prices have increased, which again, don't really foresee them going the other direction, because even today we see the cost of building a house continuing to creep up.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that I imagine a lot of our listeners have had a hard time really grasping or understanding. Obviously, we're inside the industry, so we see it every day, but really understanding what caused homes to increase so rapidly, other than the cost of lumber, which is, of course, what we heard about all of the time, but there's a lot more that goes into the cost of the home. And it takes a lot on the builder as well to really understand what every aspect costs going into a home and how we can still build a home affordably. And that's something that I know we have taken very seriously over the past few years, to making sure that we fully understand the cost of everything to be able to keep things as affordable as possible.
One thing I think that the on your lot business model or on your land business model brings to the marketplace is an ability to get around, if you will, some of the things that cause other homes to not be affordable. If you think about the neighborhood program, where developers going in, developing a number of lots, builders going to come in there and build on them. Those lots have to have curb and gutter. They got to have paved roads. They got to have retention ponds. They got to have sewer systems. They got to have county water systems. They got to have lift stations for their sewer, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of our municipalities are, on one hand, kind of pointing fingers at the builder saying that they need affordable homes, but at the same time, they're making a lot of the decisions that are causing homes to be less affordable because they're either trying to change development rules or they're trying to change building standards or whatever else to drive the cost of homes, land, everything up. One of the beauties, again, of our business model is a customer being able to go find that little niche of land that doesn't require all of these things that are required in neighborhoods, for example. So now they can go find their piece of woods. They can put a driveway in the location that's, aesthetically pleasing for them. They find the nestling spot in the woods where they want to build their house, and off we go and build their home. And we didn't need a paved road. We didn't need curb and gutter. We didn't need sidewalks. We didn't need, tree plantings. We didn't need a sewer system and lift station. It's like the list goes on. And so it truthfully makes us the only way to get an affordable single family home. Because if you look at our market, you look at the market around us, you look in Raleigh, you look in Fayetteville, you look anywhere, the market's moving towards attached townhome type products, even in the $300,000 range, where somebody can come with us, especially somebody that already has land. But now you got the ability for somebody to essentially circumvent some of those items that are going to be necessary in a neighborhood type setting and be able to construct a home that's very appealing for them, fits their lifestyle, their needs, everything else, and kind of be in a budget that would get them into a townhome in Raleigh.
Can you share some specific examples of initiatives where Red Door Homes has successfully kind of adapted to market changes while prioritizing affordability?
A lot of builders today are running back to affordability. Okay. We never left affordability. Affordability has always been the thing that was the guiding principle for us, something that we wanted to, offer and give the opportunity to folks that maybe otherwise couldn't afford it to be able to build a home or what we call a dream home on their property. And so truthfully, the strategies or innovations really revolve more around product, I would say, or the type of homes that we offer. So for example, today we're working on a number of fronts to offer more flexibility in a smaller home that you can materialize into one that fits your lifestyle and budget. So we're trying to innovate in that fashion. Continuously, you're monitoring and pushing cost as far down as possible, so you're keeping your trade contractors accountable, your vendors accountable, you're monitoring the inputs to cost and trying to manage them the best that you can. But then at the same time, trying to put together a home that your clientele or customers or prospects are interested in, number one, and then fits their lifestyle, number two.
Yeah, one of the questions I know we get a lot from potential homeowners is, how do we build a quality home for an affordable price? So how do you balance affordability and quality?
In theory, you would think they don't go hand in hand, but we don't build a home any differently today than we did 5 years ago or 7 years ago. And frankly, we probably build them better because things have changed, and there's different energy codes and things of that nature that have, frankly, improved a few things over the years. But quality is always at the forefront. And, frankly, we stand behind the homes that we build. We're willing to service the homes that we build. As much as we work on price and the inputs of cost to understand what a home costs us to build, for example, just because the vendor or trade contractor is the lowest price doesn't necessarily by any means or form makes that translate into their overall expense, if you will. So it's like, if you paid somebody less and got a worse job and then you spent more money fixing it, then that's not a good outcome. So oftentimes we are paying a little bit more for somebody that we have more trust in their integrity and their work. And, so that we are ensuring continuously the quality, and I think this goes to another question, is like, well, I've heard about this problem or that problem. Of course we have problems. I mean, we've built 1,500 houses. We're going to have things that don't go right, things that occasionally are going to get a little bit off track. And this, to me, is like, what did the company do to make that better? What did they do to fix the situation? Because as long as I've been doing it, I don't think we've ever built a perfect house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely true. What financing programs or incentives, or what financing options or programs do we offer or work with that make homeownership more accessible to a broader range of families?
Well, frankly, that's been something that's been top of mind for us lately. With interest rates rising, you encourage a home or a prospect to go visit a lender, and then that lender now has to give this person a disclosure, if you will, that has a rate on it. And they can't put today's rate on it because rates are going up, right? So then they go and attach, some foreseeable rate in the future that most likely we won't get to anyway. And like in today's market, for example, let's say 7.5 is the current 30-year rate. They might send them a disclosure at 9%. So our customers get this and they go, oh, I'm not going to pay 9%. I can't do that. Well, it's not saying that you are going to pay 9%. It's just saying that based on a rate of 9%, you qualify for X. So they're just taking like a worst case scenario and trying to put you in a box, so to speak. So it's been very problematic for us because it turns a number of the people that are our prospects away because maybe they don't understand exactly what they did get back. But it really led us to push our lenders to come up with some sort of a locked rate program. I think one thing that is very difficult in our business model to provide is what I would call certainty. It's very hard for us to sell a home and then tell you when that home's ready a year from now what the interest rate's going to be or what your payment's going to be, things of that nature. So this recent ability to create these lock programs with our lenders has truthfully been a huge win for our customers and our prospects to better understand what the future looks like for them in terms of payment and rate, and be able to work those numbers to a budget that they're comfortable with. And I think one of the biggest things for me, when I think about somebody that's in a position to buy, it's like, what are the factors that should be influencing my decision to purchase? So if you think rates are going to go down, and let's just say I want to wait for rates to go down until I buy my home. Well, rate is probably the one thing that is slowing demand for housing. So it's like artificially holding housing down and artificially holding housing pricing down. So in other words, rate comes down. Now all of a sudden there's more demand for the product. The more demand translates into increased cost, therefore increased pricing. So it's like, you make a decision not to buy today, waiting on rate to come down. Well, the house just got more expensive. Or if you think rates are going to go up and you're not making a decision because you think rates are going to go up, well, then frankly, they just went up and you still have the day's price. So it's still going to cost you more. Then you take a look at, these offers like these buy downs. They may be something that we're offering today that we may not offer tomorrow, right? And so if that opportunity is there, that ability to make a transaction, or to make a decision to purchase and move forward, then you have certainty in rate. And, the danger of not taking that opportunity is that, does that opportunity exist 2 months down the road, 3 months down the road? So then you're back to current day rate. So I think there's urgency in today's market as much as people may think there's not urgency. And I'm happy that we've been able to create some programs that work successfully for our prospects and customers.
Yeah, the lack of clarity, as you mentioned, around financing is definitely a major roadblock for a lot of people who are, hoping to either purchase a home or build a home. And it's something that a lot of people are afraid to talk about, maybe hesitant to talk about or look into. And so, in this series as well, we are hoping to provide more clarity to people listening about financing. And, personally, I've always encouraged everybody to get the information that you need to be able to make an informed decision, whether it's now or later, and understanding your finances and how financing for a home works and different loan program options is truly one of the best things that you can do, or some of the best information that you can arm yourself with to be prepared. If things do change in the market, you will be in a better position to move forward, having already spent some time, researching and understanding, where you are in your finances, what your finances need to be. And as a company, we're certainly here to help our customers do that as well, just to make sure that we're giving them the information that they need when the time is right, if it does come. So we'll dive more into that in future episodes of the podcast. But kind of talking about, future and changes, how do you anticipate future market changes, and what strategies are you implementing to stay ahead of potential challenges in the industry?
I would say that nobody has a crystal ball. It's very difficult to look into the future and understand what is going to happen. But we use a number of factors and indicators that it's not like we sell widgets, we sell homes, and we provide those homes to customers, and we want to give them great experience when they purchase and build their homes. But we are a business, and we look at things like a business, and there's essentially a funnel of how people start looking for homes and how they, eventually come through the funnel and out the bottom as what would be a sale for us. So we're always looking at those things that go into the funnel and what's the trends of those items. Are there more people looking at the website or less people looking at the website? Are there more people inquiring, with our Dream Home specialists on our online team, or less people reaching out and discussing things with them? So, there's tons of factors and indicators. Plus I try not to look at the news because the news is depressing. And so I like to keep a positive mental attitude. So I try to, but at the same time, you have to be aware of what's going on around you. And there are changes going on. So, it's just trying to make sure that you got, both eyes open, and that, really the strategies are truthfully customer and prospect driven. Like, what does our buyer want? How do they want it? At what price point do they want it? And how can we fit into that segment? A lot of times you're working backwards. You're understanding what people want, and then you're trying your best to figure out how you can provide it.
In your opinion, what is the future of affordable housing in the on your land building market, and how does Red Door plan to remain a leader in that space?
The future really is more so what's the future of home sales, not so much what's the future of on your land home sales. I think we do so many things today online, whether we buy our groceries online, whether we spec out the truck or the car that we want online. We have less and less interaction, if you will, with the sellers or the purveyors of these products. Okay. So I think something like that is coming to our marketplace. I mean, there's builders that are already trying to do their business online and things of that nature. And I think it's coming, but it's coming in a way that I think with a purchase as large as a home, a customer or prospect really wants a guide. They want, whatever you want to call it, a concierge, somebody that, kind of helps them walk through this decision that they're making and try to lead them in the right direction. And so when you think, for me, out in the future, how can we be prepared to service customers more on that level? For example, we just recently, worked to get all of our, what we call dream home consultants, our salespeople, qualified to sell for us virtually, like have the ability to prove to us that they can properly conduct a call virtually with prospects, and be able to share the Red Door story, be able to share, the homes that we build and how we build them. And, because we want to be able to provide people that ease, if you will, in purchasing. And also think, once you've gone and maybe visited our offices and seen our models, that maybe now you're comfortable shopping more on your terms and on your schedule. And that could be virtually as well. So you kind of continue that shopping experience in a virtual manner. So there's so many things that we do today, whether it's, docu-signing purchase agreements and things of that nature. It's like, the way that we operated 13 years ago and the way we operate today are, it's night and day. And this continual alignment with desires is what I would call it. We're trying to align with the desires of the buyer. We're not necessarily following our market, because we like, and when I say our market, I'm maybe saying our competitors, we like to be a leader. We like to be ahead of anybody else. So we're paying attention to our prospects and our customers to understand what they want, so that we're constantly in front of their desires.
So really being customer centric and being mindful of the customer's shopping experience, allowing them to experience more maybe in home, and being just more informed, more prepared before they even step foot into one of our model home centers or even pick up the phone to speak with us.
Yeah, I think there's, with various content on your website and other content avenues that we have, there's ways for people to learn more about our company. And, quite frankly, what used to be our customer, again, and I'll go back in my building career, 25, 30 years ago, people came in, they didn't have a clue about you because there was no website. There was nothing. We handed them collateral with a house and, a list of specifications and maybe how to model home for them to look at. But, today the customer comes in, or the prospect comes in, sometimes more educated to some degree than we may even be. It's like they've read everything, they know everything, they've done their homework, and they're it's almost like somebody coming in for their second or third visit. they've progressed themselves to a point that, they wouldn't be standing here with us if they weren't interested. And so we try to approach it that way and take into consideration the work that they've done before they've come and try to just get aligned with that and help them proceed from where they're at.
Mm-hmm. A last question for today. What advice would you give future homeowners looking to maintain affordability while adapting to changing market conditions?
Well, I think that future homeowners that, again, we talk about a lot of times, and if, you visit our website or talk to folks that, are in our sales organization, it's about, there's four things that go into the purchase of a home. There's the land development, the home itself, and the personalization or the choices you make to personalize that home. So, the easy one is making sure you buy the right land. It's frightening how many stories we've heard, of the person that maybe buys a piece of property from their uncle only to find out that it's got a tax lien on it and it doesn't perk for septic. So they're out the money, the land doesn't work, and they bought it from a family member. So if we don't think that there could be potential issues, underlying issues with something we've found on the open market, much less something we found within our family, it's like, I think it's just being diligent on stuff like that, which we're there to help and guide. I think it's also, a big part of us helping and guiding in that scenario is to understand the cost of developing that land to be able to build a house on it. And I think that's one of the factors people have, because you might find a piece of land that looks attractive and inexpensive, but lo and behold, it's going to take 3 times that to make it buildable. It might not be a great site to think about, so I think you got to have the awareness of all those things that, again, our company's willing to kind of partner with you, if you will, to make sure you're making some good decisions. And then from there, it's truthfully just finding the home that fits your family and maximizing, again, through some sort of certainty, some sort of rate capability to kind of understand what your payment's going to be once you get in there, but also understand if rates do go down, what was one of the crazy things happening 3 years ago or 2 years ago even, is everybody was refinancing their loans. Even the people that 5 and 6% or 4.5% were refinancing down to the lower rates. So that opportunity is always there in the future, so if you can get comfortable in a scenario that works for you, then you either have that for 30 years and it's a certainty for 30 more years, or you have the ability to rearrange that and make it better at some point in time when that opportunity is there. So I think that is the information I think I would, make sure people are aware of, is just number one, making sure that you're getting the right property and you're assessing what that property is going to cost you. And then you're much more suited to be able to understand the house that you can afford on that property, because it always boils down to a overall budget and what that overall budget is going to cost me a month.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to know, like, hey, you don't need to be ready to buy tomorrow to really learn about what you're talking about, especially with land. I mean, we have lots of customers who come in wanting to purchase land or owning land, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years even down the road, then they're ready to build on it. And so there is no perfect timeline of, when you're ready. It's all about, do you have questions? Are you curious? Are you looking to learn more about what's involved, to have the information to be able to determine if this is going to be a route that will work for you when you get there. So really knowing that there might not be a perfect time, but there's always a perfect time to learn and get the information that you need. And that's really what we're here, like Paige said, to partner with you on. Paige, I'd like to express my gratitude for joining me in this conversation today. I truly hope you, our valued listeners, found our chat full of useful insights. In our upcoming episode, we'll tackle the challenging topic of making homeownership more affordable while dealing with financing and interest rates in today's market. Obviously a hot topic. So be sure to tune in for that. And until next time, stay connected and stay tuned.